We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. We can feed our every need. Every need. We can feed our every need. Every need. We can feed our every need. Start with love, that is the seed. We can feed our every need. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Peace and freedom is our cry. Without these, our world will die. Peace and freedom is our cry. We are building a new way. We are building a new way. We are building a new way, feeling stronger every day. We are building a new way. A new way, a new way, a new
Good morning, everyone. How y'all doing today? Good. Welcome to the live in-person and live Zoom worship service of the Universalist Unitarian Church of Riverside. Our opening hymn this morning is number 134, Our World is One World, from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to sing as the Spirit moves you. Now, please rise and body your spirit and join us in singing hymn number 134, Our World is One World.
Our world is one world. What touches one affects us all. The seas that wash us round about, the clouds that cover us, the rains that fall. Our world is one world. The thoughts we think affect us all. The way we build our attitudes will world, just like a ship that bears a song, where fear and greed make many holes, but where our hearts can hear a different call.
Thank you for joining us here in person, and thank you for joining us remotely by Zoom, where we will continue live streaming and posting these services on our YouTube channel for our virtual attendees. I'm Grace Preuss, a member of the worship committee, and I will be your worship associate today. Other members of the worship committee who make this service possible include Alec Peck, our music coordinator, who is monitoring our visual and online connections today, and Kate Lewicki, who is in charge of our sound system. We welcome you to join us this morning with an open mind and an open heart, and with muted electronic devices, please. We invite you to leave your worries and defenses at the door and trust that what happens in worship is inspiring and powerful. Together, we affirm that this day and our being together can make each of us braver, more wiser, and compassionate as we begin a new day and a new week. Monday, October 13th is Indigenous Peoples Day, a day that celebrates the history, culture, and resilience of Native Americans and promotes Indigenous rights while recognizing the injustice and destructive impact of colonialism. As a faith that strives to honor the inherent dignity and worth of every individual, we gather to get together because we are hopeful for universal justice and civil rights, and we envision and work toward a brighter future for us all. Before we move into the service, there are a few announcements we would like to share. We have an important announcement regarding the Middle East. According to Reuters news service, as of today, October 12th, a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas held in Gaza for a third day, ahead of the expected release of Israelis and Palestinians detained during the war. The United States, along with Egypt, Qatar, and Turkey, mediated what has been described as a first phase agreement between Israel and Hamas. Humanitarian aid trucks will be allowed into Gaza carrying food, medical and shelter equipment, fuel, and cooking gas. We hope that and pray for peace. We will mention several websites, email addresses, and phone numbers. At the end of the service, we will leave up a slide with all of this information, and it is also available on our website. The monthly UUCR newsletter comes out the first of every other month by email and per request by postal mail. If you have something newsworthy or that you would like to contribute, email uuchurchofriverside.calendar@gmail.com or call the church office at 951-686-6515. If you would like to be added to our mailing list, please contact the church office. The Harvest Lunch is the first of our 4 luncheons in our fundraising lunch series. Please help support our church by joining us for good food and conversation. The Harvest Lunch will take place on Saturday, October 18th at 1:30 p.m. in the Parish Hall out front, and tickets are $25. Please reserve and purchase tickets by this Thursday, October 16th, as we will not be selling tickets at the door. Our member Nick Williams will be sitting in front of the entrance today, and he will be taking requests for tickets and the donation as well. So please see Nick for that. Board meeting. The next board meeting will be held on Thursday, October 16th at 5:30 p.m. This will take place in the annex next door, and all are welcome to attend. Yard sale sorting. Kate is requesting volunteers to help sort saleable items in preparation for the November yard sale. This will happen on Friday, October 7th at noon in the annex. Please see Kate for details if you are interested in assisting. Thank you. I'd now like to invite up Adam, the chair of our Social and Environmental Justice Committee, for a few announcements. Adam?
Good morning. We have a couple of upcoming ways to support our immigrant community with everything going on right now. First, the Riverside City Council will be voting this Tuesday, October 14th, on a resolution affirming transparency, community safety, and clear identification standards in federal immigration enforcement activities like ICE raids. Our Social and Environmental Justice Committee has created a toolkit to help anyone who wants to speak at the meeting or just submit a written comment. There are printed copies in the hall right on the table as you come in. There's also a digital version linked on our website. This is an important opportunity to put our Unitarian Universalist values of love, justice, and equity into action by standing with our immigrant neighbors and reaffirming Riverside as a safe and welcoming city for all. Also, next Sunday, October 19th at 11:30 a.m., our Social and Environmental Justice Committee will be partnering with the Interfaith Movement for Human Integrity and TODEC for a food drive and letter writing event in support of our immigrant neighbors here in Riverside County. This will be in place of our regular monthly meeting of the Social and Environmental Justice Committee. So before then, we're asking folks to pick up 1 or 2 items to contribute to the food drive. There are items listed there. There's also a flyer by the table as you leave with a list of things. They're looking for things like corn tortillas, rice, beans, canned chicken or tuna, cereal, eggs, cooking oil, hygiene products, diapers, baby wipes. If you can pick up a couple of those things before next Sunday and bring them in with you so we can donate them to the families. Your donations will go directly to the families in need through TODEC, the families that they're working with here in Riverside County. And together we'll also write letters of support and encouragement for those folks who are afraid of ICE raids and whatnot. Yeah. It's possible, yeah, with the relationship we're building with TODEC for sure. Yes. So yeah, thank you for helping us live our values, our UU values of generosity, interdependence, and love in action. Again, for more information on all these events, and there's more stuff that's going on throughout October, you can check out our website there, uuchurchofriverside.org/justice. Thanks.
Thank you, Adam. Our time together is brief, but it is filled with joy. In that spirit, I invite you to turn to those around you, greet them, welcome them, and share in that joy. For those on Zoom, you can use the Zoom wave gesture or just wave at your camera. Hi. Good to see all of you. Welcome to all of our visitors today, and welcome back to all of our old friends. We would love to meet with you during coffee hour in the parish hall after the service, and you can also find our visitors tablet on the table out there. Please leave your name before you leave so that we know you are here, and leave your contact information if you would like updates on church events. There will also be a short discussion after the service to share your reflections with us. For those online, the best way to get added to the mailing list is to email the church office at admin@uuchurchofriverside.org. And now I invite you to sit back and take a slow, deep breath as we move into the worship hour. You are welcome to read with me the mission statement of our church. Our mission is to foster a diverse religious community that celebrates life, affirms the individual, encourages spiritual growth and open thought, and works to advance social justice and environmental sustainability. We are happy to welcome today's guest speaker, Reverend Victoria Bomberry. Reverend Victoria Bomberry, PhD, is an ordained minister of the Center for Spiritual Living. She served as a spiritual director / senior minister at Center for Spiritual Living in Menifee Valley. Before that, she served at Riverside Center for Spiritual Living as a minister of transformation. As a spiritual director of the emerging focus ministry Winged Spirit, her sight is set on perfecting love on the planet. Exploring and developing ways to serve the world, teaching and working with individuals and small groups are her passions. She has more than 45 years of teaching experience, including courses in the California State University and University of California systems and private universities, in local CSLs and Native American communities in North and South America. In this morning's service, we continue study and acting on the new UUA Congregational Study Action Issue themes of abolition, transformation, and faith formation, striving for universal human dignity, freedom, and peace. Today, we reflect on Indigenous Peoples Day as we explore how we can heal historical wounds that inhibit us from using the power of active imagination to co-create our future. The great Mvskoke Shawnee leader Tecumseh's words resonate with us today. So live your life that the fear of death can never enter your heart. Trouble no one about their religion. Respect others in their view and demand that they respect yours. Love your life, perfect your life, beautify all things in your life. Seek to make your life long and its purpose in the service of your people. Tecumseh faced the challenges of his day with courage and boldness by calling for unity among the native nations who were ravaged by colonization. Yet his mission was much larger than this. He was protecting the entirety of life, knowing the interconnectedness of creation is fueled by the source of all life, and it is our sacred mission to acknowledge and allow its expression. This is more important than ever as we seek solutions to the systemic issues of our time. We have two lightings of sacred flames. The first is a remembrance candle for the Indigenous peoples who continue to cry out for justice and self-determination. We remember that we live off the unceded land of several Indigenous peoples, including the Cahuilla, the Luiseño, the Serrano, the Tongva, the Cupeño, among others. We light this sacred flame in their remembrance and in recognition of their ongoing struggle for freedom and dignity. Our second sacred flame is our own chalice, the symbol of our faith. We are blessed with this space and opportunity to strive to live out our common principles, to bring justice, equity, and compassion into our daily lives, to resist all that threatens the earth and her people, and to be part of a world community with peace, liberty, and justice for all. Let these thoughts carry us forth as we journey and worship together. Today's chalice lighting words are A Dream Awakening by Elizabeth M. Strong. Today we celebrate a dream awakening. Today we worship with renewed hope in our hearts. Today we act on an audacity of hopes and dreams for the future. Today we begin the hard work for justice, equity, and compassion in all human relations. For today is a day like no other, and it is ours to shape with vision and action. Let us worship together and celebrate a dream awakening. Thank you, Bill. Our hymn now is number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place, and that is in the teal hymnal. Feel free to rise or sing as the Spirit moves you. Now, please rise and body your spirit and join us in singing hymn number 1008, When Our Heart is in a Holy Place.
When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we trust the wisdom in each of us, every calling, every gradient cut, and we see our faces in each other's eyes, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we tell our stories from deep inside, and we listen with a loving mind, and we hear our voices in each other's words, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when we share the silence of sacred space, and the guarded heart stirs within, and we feel the power of each other's faith, then our heart is in a holy place. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place, we are blessed with love and amazing grace. When our heart is in a holy place, when our heart is in a holy place.
This portion of our service is to support our beloved historical church. This can be accomplished in several ways. In addition to the weekly collection, you may send your checks to the church address, which is shown here on the slide. You may contribute by PayPal using the QR code, which is also shown here, as well as on the church website and in the newsletter. Stater Brothers Market gives our church a rebate on Stater grocery cards, which we will have in church each Sunday. You will get the full value of your purchase, and the church also receives a percentage for free. Please see Robert Brown in the church office if you are interested in purchasing the gift cards. Please donate as the Spirit moves you by whatever method works best for you. Thank you for your generosity. To those who give of their time and their talent, thank you for your generous care and attention. To all of you who have joined us here today, we thank you for the gift of your presence. Will our ushers now please come forward to receive the collection? A tote bag will also be passed around to collect food and hygiene items for our local community. Today, we are also participating in SOS, the SOS program, which is Sharing Our Spirit. This is a program to help families in need during the holiday season. Thanksgiving and Christmas are coming up, and we would like to donate to the community for these holidays. All of the income from this fundraiser goes into our designated SOS fund. Our goal this year is $2,500. From October 12th throughout November 23rd. Collections will be on the second and fourth Sundays in October and November. Please contact our church office or our administrator, Robert Brown, for more information. Please mark all donations to this fund as SOS. You may write this on the subject line of your check or place cash contributions in the specially marked envelopes in the pews and place them in the offertory plates. Thank you. Our next hymn is number 1010, We Give Thanks, from the Teal Hymnal. Feel free to rise or sing as the Spirit moves you. Now, please rise and body your spirit and join us in singing hymn number 1010, We Give Thanks.
Oh, we give thanks for this precious day, for gathered here, cast far away, for this time we share, with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
This part of the service is where we center and ground ourselves in the present moment. We invite you to take a moment to sit back in a comfortable position, relax, and if you wish, gently close your eyes. Our meditation today is Being Strong by Joseph M. Marshall III. Being strong means taking one more step towards the top of the hill, no matter how weary you may be. It means letting the tears flow through the grief. It means to keep looking for the answer, though the darkness of despair is all around. It means to cling to hope for one more heartbeat, one more sunrise. Each step takes you closer to the top of the hill, closer to the light of the next sunrise and the promise of a new day. Now let us pause for a moment of silence and reflection. Now I would like to introduce Reverend Victoria Bomberry, speaking to us on healing the past by imagining the future. Victoria?
Good morning, UCCR. It's so good to see you. It's been a while since I've been here with you, and it is wonderful to see this congregation that is so dedicated to living the principles of your teachings in the world. And I'm always lifted up when I come downtown and I see the table outside with all of your members giving out information and being a presence for social justice and equality and creating the world that we want to live in. So I really commend you all for your dedication in this, particularly in this time that we're living in. You know, I have been participating and seeing the evolution of the land recognitions that have been done. And this is one of the best ones I've seen because there is that recognition that, yes, there's more to it than simply saying the names of the groups whose land and territory that we are living on, that we're walking on, that there is an active part of that as well. And that active part is for us to do things that are inclusive, recognizing, supporting, doing all those things that support the sovereignty and development of the Native nations on whose territories we reside. I am an enrolled member of the Mvskoke Nation, and that is located in Oklahoma, in the eastern part of Oklahoma. And, as a transplant as well, I recognize the native land that I'm on. And I also recognize that there's different ways I can support that, whether by attending events or supporting businesses, supporting people in creating educational opportunities for their children, supporting all kinds of activities that create sustainable communities. And that's what we're all looking for, right? We're looking for that ability to be responsible for ourselves and to create conditions of life that allow us to thrive. So that's the basics for human life, right? To have those conditions to thrive. So congratulations on recognizing this with your ceremony. And that was a beautiful ceremony. And recognition is of the Native nations that are around you are just one step, right? That's the first step. And I'm going to talk about history today and looking at the past to inform our future and to imagine, to be able to imagine a future that works for everyone. Several years ago, I guess it was back in probably the 80s, I was doing interviews around economic development on Native land. And I was going to Penobscot Nation. And I was in a town that bordered on the reservation. And I pulled up into a gas station and I said, how can I get to the Penobscot Nation? And they were just completely clueless. Everyone just said, oh, we don't know, we didn't know there were any Indians around here. And finally, I found my way, and it was less than a quarter mile from that gas station. It was over a bridge. And people did not recognize that their neighbors were a Native nation, that people who lived in that area were Native people. There was absolutely no recognition of that. So that is a first step. And think that was in the 80s. Here we are, how many years later? 40 years later. And we're finally getting to the point where we're recognizing one another. So things take time, right? We're looking at this history as a long, long thing. And, today we're going to look at how history is still powerfully with us. Our own personal histories, if you think about your own personal history and all the things that made you who you are as an individual, a lot of those things we may have overcome a lot, and they are still with us. They shaped us, they formed us. And, some of us have wonderful, wonderful things that have happened in our lives. Most of us do. And we also have things that were not so wonderful in our lives that happened. And yet here we are. All of it is still with us. And we do have the power to choose and to look at our past in order to create and imagine a different future. If we have pain in the past, we don't have to live in that pain. We can release that pain and move forward. If we have things that were terrible in our past, either perpetrated against us or that we perpetrated, we have a chance to correct that and imagine something that is different. But we have to go back and heal that. On a large level now in this country, we're seeing this push back against anything that is historical. And in the United States, that's kind of an old thing to create an imagined history told from the viewpoint of only one viewpoint, the viewpoint of the United States, for example. And that is only one viewpoint. Over the years, there has been a lot of work done to amplify the voices and to open a vision that is much broader than a single vision of the world. And that is important because when we hide the shadow, it comes back in a lot of ways that are harmful, and we can't correct the mistakes of the past, right? We can't because we don't know it. I kind of I was a kid who really liked to learn. I loved to learn. That was something that was just inculcated in me as a young child and something that I liked, right? It wasn't like something that my parents had me do that I didn't like. It was something that I loved, and I was so happy that they encouraged me in that. And when I got to university, I loved history. I loved history. I loved those stories. I loved to learn about everything, right? The whole world. I wanted to know more. And the first history class that I went into, the US history class, and I was obviously the only Native American student in this class. And the professor looked at me and said, "We will not study any Native history in this class." He said Indian history in this class. And I was like, what? How can we study history and leave out such a big chunk, especially in a place like Oklahoma that was Indian territory, designated Indian territory? So it made absolutely no sense to me. And that kind of fueled my interest in going beyond what was offered in the academy. Well, I did fine in that year of college, but it really made me want to enlarge my viewpoint, enlarge what I was being taught. And there were a couple of good professors that I had who were from different backgrounds at that time. And I also got to meet people from other countries and other places within the United States. And one of the student groups that I interacted with were Native Hawaiians. And hearing them talk, I thought, wow, this sounds much more like the place that I would like to live, with different cultures, different ethnicities, a strong indigenous background. And I thought, well, I'm going to go to Hawaii. So I ditched my university career and moved to Hawaii. And, I felt like I grew up there into a woman because of all the different cultures I was able to interact with. Now, I want to make it clear In Native America, there are 576 recognized Native nations in the United States. There's almost 1,000 Native nations in the Americas. So think about that diversity. They're not all the same, different cultures, different ways of being. However, there's something that runs through the whole thing that we agree on, is that we're all a part of life. We're not above it, we're in it. It's in us. And I've seen that across the board in Native nations everywhere. And it's something that really has fueled not only my intellectual growth, but my spiritual growth. If we look at everything as holy as Native people do, everything is holy. Our interactions are holy. Our relationship to the earth is holy. Our relationship nation to nation is holy. The words we speak are holy. And this is what I've learned from my entry point into this world. And, of course, we all enter where we are, right, when we're born. So mine's in, the last year of the 40s. So my memories are the 50s onward. And that's where I entered. But I also know that I am also shaped by my ancestors, as we all are, right? So all of that is going forward. And all of that is necessary to look at, to keep those things that are life affirming, and to release those things that are not affirming to life. Now we're caught in a battle right now, aren't we? Over story. What is the story that we want to tell ourselves about this country? Do we want to tell ourselves that slavery wasn't that bad? It was kind of a happy place. Well, we know that that is not true. Now, I came of age at the time that I did, when there was a lot of activism, a lot of reclaiming, a lot of digging into those places that were set aside. We don't look there because it doesn't make the United States look good. We don't participate in that. We don't look. We put our blinders on and we don't look. We don't recognize our neighbor. We don't go beyond the borders of our community, to go across the bridge to visit our Native neighbors. We don't do that. That's the kind of mentality that I began this journey in. And my whole life has been a alternative to that. How do we look at everything? And how do we heal those things that we're looking at? And it's not easy. It really isn't. I've spent my career trying to think about ways that when we tell the truth, that we're not inflicting trauma. We're not re-traumatizing people that are learning about what has been done to their ancestors and how that impacts the present. And yet we have to know about it in order to heal from it. And it takes time. It takes time. So these projects that people have been engaged in are absolutely necessary to create a true picture of what we're dealing with. Because without a true picture of what we're dealing with, we cannot move forward. We cannot say what it is that we want and what we don't want. What are the nuances? What are the trade-offs that we're making? So we're healing the past by looking at it. We're healing it for ourselves. And I really do believe as we do that healing, we are actively changing our present and our future. A few years back, I was really angry. And I delivered a message that was a very angry message to a very crowded room of academics. And I said, when the whole world's a reservation, will we organize? And, I was just so mad about institutional racism, about voices being silenced. And, I was just so angry, and about all of these things that we call microaggressions, but are actually the underpinnings of keeping things as they are. I was furious. And someone said to me, "Oh, I hope you never get mad at me." But, now we're waking up. And is the whole world a reservation? Okay, what does that mean? Is the whole world a reservation? Is every part of us like the open veins for exploitation? Is it? I think we can answer yes in a lot of areas, that we are the open veins of exploitation right now, with labor, with silencing the truth, with actively going against what we believe, for fabricating, lying, all of those things. Those were perpetuated against Native nations in our time, in my living memory. And here we are all experiencing that now. No one is immune from it. No matter how insulated one might feel, no one is immune from it. And I see a lot of people here with gray hair. We're kind of concerned about our Medicare, aren't we? We're kind of concerned about our Social Security, because that's going to be exploited for a few people, right? And that's what's happened with Native nations. So we have all been converted to reservations and confined to those reservations. Now, I have so much material here, and I could talk forever, but I just want to say that, as we're rebuilding, I think about those things that Native people have done in these 40 or 50 years that are being undone right now, is speaking directly to what everyone is experiencing. The American Indian Religious Freedom Act occurred in 1978. 1978, not that long ago, was when the United States recognized the rights of Indigenous people to practice their religions unhindered. Can you imagine that we were not given that right? Although religious freedom is a cornerstone of this country's founding. 1978. And what are we experiencing right now? We're experiencing this pushback, rollback to a time that never existed, when this country was supposedly, mythologically, and myth in the worst sense of that word, lie, was Christian. This country was never Christian. It was not founded as a Christian nation. And yet we're feeling that. Our churches, our synagogues, our spiritual gatherings who operate as nonprofits are under attack right now, right? They may even be targeted for taxation and a different kind of way of controlling, right? So we're seeing these things. In 1978, again, the Indian Child Welfare Act was formed. Now, up until then, Native children were taken from their homes. And, my parents were survivors of the boarding school system. So I know exactly what that is. And I know the destruction that it did to our communities. So they were survivors, and I carry that with me. That is a part of who I am. And only in 1978 was Indian Child Welfare Act formed so that we could raise our own children in our own communities. And part of that raising, right, is education. And fortunately, here in California, we have AB 1821 that provides for Native education, for actually Native history to be taught to elementary and high school students, right? And especially around the gold rush and the mission era, which is a big deal in California. And prior to that, I remember when my three children were in school, I had to go fight with the schools all the time. And I had my kids do reports that were really antithetical to what they were teaching in the schools. And they were mini educators, right? They were mini educators who were going into the school and providing this alternative history. Not alternative, they were providing a different voice that needed to be heard in this history, in the teaching of California history. So we know that education is one of the cornerstones of who we are as people. We have to have education, no matter what it might be, what community we live in. We have to educate our people, especially if we want to have an informed populace who can make decisions, right? It's absolutely necessary. And yet education is under attack, right? Education, a cornerstone of every civilization, every community is under attack. So here we are, we find ourselves in this place of having to stand strong, of having to assert who we are as people and what our vision of the future is. And we're doing all of this, it seems like, at the same time. It's no accident that that film came out, Everything All at Once, everywhere all at once, right? It's no accident. That's what we're engaged in right now. And yet we know people, no matter where they come from, no matter who they are, have had to deal with these kinds of life-changing, tumultuous histories. And they have persevered. We have people who have made a choice to be destructive. And we've had people who've made the choice to be constructive in the world. And we have a lot of people who are right in the middle, right? Who are just floating along. And maybe a lot of people here think, oh my goodness, what's all this thing about women's rights? And they didn't realize what the women's movement did for them, that they can buy a car on their own credit because of women's rights. That's the middle, right? That's the middle. And we are now having to make a choice again. Where are we going to be? Where are we going to stand? Are we going to stand for what we believe in? Are we going to stand up for empathy? For goodness sake, empathy is under attack. Compassion. Are we going to push back against those poisons that the Buddha identified as hatred, greed, and ignorance? Are we going to be a part of that antidote? Well, I think that the words of Tecumseh bring us back to who we are. Remember Tecumseh, you may not know, but Tecumseh unified several Native nations to fight against colonization. In that unity, he was a Mvskoke Shawnee leader. Our people, the Mvskoke, sent a whole band of folks called the Red Sticks to fight in that effort. Unfortunately, the huge battle that ensued resulted in the defeat of Tecumseh and a scattering of that movement. That happens. That happens on our way to creating the future that we want to live in. We don't give up. We continue. We are who we are and who we stand for. We stand for the holiness of all. So our call to action is really those words of Tecumseh. So live your life that the fear of death can never enter your heart. Trouble no one about their religion. Respect others in their view and demand that they respect yours. Love your life. Perfect your life. Beautify all things in your life. Seek to make your life long and its purpose in the service of your people. That's our call to action.
Thank you, Reverend Victoria. Our closing hymn is number 413, Go Now in Peace, from the Gray Hymnal. Feel free to rise and sing as the Spirit moves you. Now, please rise in spirit and join us in singing hymn number 413, Go Now in Peace.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the spirit of love surround you everywhere. Surround you everywhere.
What is done cannot be undone. What is done next must now be done with care. We gather because we are hopeful, because we have visions and dreams of a brighter future, that there may be more than vision in this room. These are the wounds we must heal together, not through cancellation or denial. Wounds we will tend cautiously, applying the salve of understanding. This is not a time of quick solutions. This is a prayer for peace. We are new at this endeavor, new at listening, new at hearing, new at taking enough time to honestly receive one another's stories. We gather because we are hopeful, because we have visions and dreams of a brighter future. May the strength of this time together help us to walk forward. May the wisdom of this experience help us to know our path. May we have the courage to return as often as necessary until our way is clear. May we have the perseverance together to see it through. May we cause it to be so. Namaste, amen, and blessed be. Thank you, Reverend Victoria, for sharing your valuable time and insights with us this morning. It is sincerely appreciated, and we look forward to seeing you again. If you have time, Reverend Victoria, we'll have 10 to 15 minutes for discussion following the service for those who wish to share their thoughts and observations on today's topic. Okay, so please be aware that this will be included on the video that is posted. For the rest of you, you are now welcome to adjourn into the parish hall. So Reverend Victoria, we'd like to invite you back up here to the pulpit. Or any questions someone may have? Would anyone like to come up and share their thoughts? Oh, there we go.
I was personally blown away by the entire message you delivered today. My background is such that you were hitting spots that I've been trained, I've been working with over the years, but it activated again the importance of now and remembering the past. Your comment about the shadow, if we try to erase it, we can't fix it and it'll come again. They say history will repeat itself. We should learn from it, and so we don't repeat it if it's on that dark side of shadows. When the comment on peace, I've done this before. Here it goes again. I carry this little bag with me. I found it when it was my teaching days. It was buried away and it appeared again, actually around January. Go figure that one out. We won't say why it might be significant, but let's point out that it was spelling out the word peace. And I've talked about this before in my little bag, but when I carry it, it seems to activate people thinking maybe for a moment that PEACE does stand for people embracing all cultures equally. Now, not just now, but in the past, so many times they were squashed, people that were, quote, different. But diversity is what made us stronger. And when we try to erase it, we are losing the impact of how we could find joy. Anyway, I see a finger pointing at me. I think I should stop talking. I'm not sure. I hope I'm not giving too much time to this. But I want to tell you, this really pushed some buttons on me because every part of your message was extremely significant to me. And I think it's definitely worth carrying with us beyond today. We each have our own little journey to take, but let's continue to remember that we can't expect someone else to do it for us. We need to be a part of a solution if we want to stay united in peace, if we want to find better days than the ones that may be presenting us now. We have to remember much of what was said today. And I truly hope you visit again. You were articulate. You had great impact on at least my thinking. And I think we all were sort of shaking our heads on portions of this. But more importantly, standing up for what we believe in, remembering we all matter, And we can't expect someone else to carry a torch. We need to light the fire in our own hearts and remember that love was the concept, and trying to keep peace is extremely important now. And we're all feeling the impact of now, one way or another. And I hope we continue to be motivated by the brilliance of what we heard today, because I know it made me steamed up enough to come up here and spend a lot of time at the microphone. But thank all of you for coming. And remember, each one of you has a way to reach out to others and find common ground, and in the process, grow together towards unity in a way which will make it better and not worse as much as we can, because united we stand, divided we fall. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing your time and your space. I so truly appreciate many of the things that you said. Pardon me while I get emotional about this. So I'm born here in East LA in a community county hospital. I'm 49 and the things that I was taught in school, thank God, somehow included, Junipero Serra and things of that nature, but they did not include the thousands of deaths and hangings that occurred during that time frame. I have a really difficult and beautiful, incredible story, especially for what's happened to me over the last 2 years. And I'm just going to sum it up by saying, for speaking up, for being a channel of love and of service, for teaching Christ, and for fighting for Indigenous folks. I've basically been made homeless, had my life taken from me, my paperwork, my business. The police won't solve it as a crime. They won't call it that. So I'm just going to say that if I'm here and they're doing that so that I will speak in a larger stage, then I hope that I'm doing what they asked me to do by speaking up right now. They threw me in a mental hospital and stole my stuff while I was gone. While I was in the hospital, I asked for a Bible. They put me off every day for a week until they finally said, "We just don't allow that here." And I'm like, it literally says in this documentation that I have a legal right to my religious beliefs. I had an outside person who was in the hospital, left, was discharged, and brought me a Bible the next day. And I cannot tell you, definitely not in this short few minutes here, how I had to read it in pieces, weeping, crying, put it away and digest what was happening, because what I went back and read was the experience that I was having. I mean, verbatim. And I felt like, I don't know what kind of weird this experience this is that I'm having, or why I saw that Christ light that I saw, or why I saw the ugly things that I saw. But if the entire thing was a result of the psychic work that I've been doing for the last 15 years, and I was shown the wars, and I was shown what was happening with Indigenous people, and we see it playing out now, then it was worth losing my butt and everything I owned to continue sharing messages like this. So thank you. Thank you for doing this work. I appreciate it.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sue. Pronouns she and her. I really appreciated you talking about it's more than the acknowledgement, right? The land acknowledgement that I've spent the last 5 years editing and adjusting in the email, in my personal email. In 2020, with the racial, Black Lives Matter uprising, many professors I know in dance at UCR started rewriting, they already were doing this kind of work in their curriculum in UCR dance. But I went to them for their land acknowledgement. But I appreciate the idea of doing a little bit more. We do have a former boarding school on Magnolia here in Riverside. So if you visit the school, it's now has a museum, and they're doing a lot of work to teach the students who go to the school their languages that were stripped. They were stripped of their languages. But I also, you made me think of a book. It's a hard read, but it's an important read. So I might, like, if I post it, I would offer a content warning, but it's called California, a Slave State. And it starts out with a Native American child's story because she lived to be 100 and was able to share her story before she passed. And so I recommend that book.
Hi, everyone. My name's Gibson, and I had a question and a comment. My question was, which island did you move to in Hawaii?
I moved to Molokai.
Molokai. I used to live on the Big Island, or it's just Hawaii, and I did all of my elementary schooling there and most of my middle school. And they teach you a Hawaiian studies class that's not an elective. It's a required class that you take. And everybody who goes to school in Hawaii learns not just about the victimization of the natives, but also like the glory of how they were before they became victimized by the American government. Um, and like you said, there's a lot of multiculturalism from the sugarcane plantations and the imported laborers, but it's so important to have education for the past and different perspectives. And without those different perspectives, so much is lost. And it's just so important that people are educated about the past and and not just one perspective, but multiple, and also the victimization, but also the height and the pride that the people once had. Thank you.
Thank you. What is your name? Gibson? Thank you. And that's a really important point. And that is a point that we always try to get, put forward, is that this is not just a story of victimization. All of the people had lives that worked, had communities that were loving, that really supported the development of every individual. So that is the reality of it. So this whole movement, when we talk about Red Power movement, the Native Hawaiian movement, the Chicano movement, the Civil Rights movement, all of that wave that came out of the 60s into the 70s and 80s and 90s led up to later waves of movements, right? But it still has a lot of roots in anti-colonialism, because that colonial force is still acting on us. But the truth of the matter is that we did have communities and nations that were beautiful and worked. So thank you for bringing that up.
Hi, I'm Tika. I just want to piggyback on what Sue said. And maybe, like we talked about, not just the land acknowledgement, but taking that and educating ourselves and everything. I mean, because I do believe that education is an action. In fact, I believe that education is the foundation of the actions that we then go out to do. And without education, I think there would be no action. So, anyway, I really encourage people to go to the museum that is at Sherman School that she was talking about. And Lori just retired. She was the curator of the museum. Part of 3 generations of her family being educated at Sherman. Her mother, some aunts and everything, but I mean a direct lineage. Her mother, and then her, and then her daughter, and she may have some grandchildren that are going there now. And she has kept not only the history of Sherman and the history of the impact of the Native Americans around here, but she was very, very, when she was working there, very strong in teaching. First of all, the school students come to that school from so many different tribes and so many different states. It's not just like a California thing. And so they come, and many of them, some come from reservations, some don't. Some know about the culture and the heritage of their tribe, some do not. And so she would work with them in keeping their language alive, and keeping the medicines alive, and keeping the recognition of the plants, and just very strong with that. So the museum is open by appointment only. And so I put out there that perhaps maybe with the leadership of our social justice committee, maybe we could form a group to go to the museum. And I'll see if I can get in touch with, I know she's retired this year, see if I can get back in touch with her, and maybe she can lead us through that museum.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone who made comments. And, I just want to give a shout out to all of our teachers. Yes. And we know how important you are. And also, I just want you to know that what you're doing is making an impact, and it matters. So I just want you to know that you are appreciated.
Is there anyone online who would like to share their thoughts? Not today. Okay. So if there are no further comments, thank you very much for being with us here today. And now please join us in the parish hall for further fellowship. Thank you.